Hello, it's raining here, but this is an important video, so I'm just going to go over it anyway, right? A lot of people are messaging me and tagging me at the moment because a lot of people are talking about Brehon Law and the importance of bringing back our own indigenous social structures, networks, legal structures, and all that kind of stuff in Ireland. And it is very important. If we don't bring these back, we're fucked as people anyway. And if anything happens to the country, let's say the economy collapses and all of that, what are we going to do? So we need to set up the scenario of how we function together, right? And I always use the example of, let's say, the New Zealand Maori, how they have their own system of elders, chiefs, and all of that, and how they can function as a unit. And I lived in New Zealand. I lived amongst these people. I love them, right? And we have the same system in Ireland, right? And it's very important to bring it back. And it's really important to bring it back. Fuck the. While you've all been chasing the fucking political circus, we've been developing something massive in the background, right? We've been working with the tribal nations of the world, right? So we want to bring back our councils of elders, our two-hat structures, and Brehon Law Tanistry in Ireland, and it's not that difficult to do, right? And I'm going to teach you how to do it and how to set up the two-hat structures, all of the above. But first, I need to teach you about what's happening in the background, right? And the relationship we've developed with the First Nations of the world, with the tribal councils of the world, with the chiefs, with all amazing people. We're learning so much, and it's very humbling, to be honest, right? Anyway, so many people know about the Choctaw Nation and the Choctaw Nation's generosity to the people of Ireland during the uh, genocide, um, and how they gave us money and the struggles that they went through and they were going through at the time, and how they so generous, right? So what happened is Gary Batten, the chief of the Choctaw Nation, came to Cork to the monument in Middleton, and he came with many of his people, and I met him, and I gave him a gift of an oak tree on behalf of the people of Ireland, because that's what we do as part of Irish customs and traditions. I gave him an oak tree, and it was very funny. The city council went, "Oh, you can't plant it now." He went, "No, no, no, we're planting it now. Get a shovel." And I was there. This is brilliant. He looked at me. He's like, "This is happening. This is important." I was like, "I know." And we planted the oak tree, whatever. But we planted as well. It's a physical, but also symbolic. The good to plant the symbolic friendship to grow roots for generations to come, right? And those roots have grown, and those roots have put us in contact with many other nations of the world, right? And there was a thing in Cork called the World Peace Gathering that happened in July on 18th to 20th of last year, and we had many tribes from all over the world come to Cork, and it was amazing to meet people, develop relationships. And I'm going to teach you about what's happening in the background. A lot of people don't know about that. It's amazing, and there's amazing people in Ireland doing so much stuff, and that's why the spirit of the land is rising. When people talk about what you feel, that your love for Ireland, you feel even when you're seeing the, let's say, groups doing amazing stuff, even protests coming here. That's the tribalness in us, right? And that's what's called sovereignty. So sovereignty, yes, it's a jurisdictional thing, but it's also a spiritual importance within you too, as well, right? Your connection with the land, all of that, right? Sovereignty. So you can cultivate this, and this is vitally important. So anyway, I'm going to just call out the nations that came to give you an idea, because again, people don't know. The Cherokee, the Apache, the Chickasaw Nation, the Crow Creek Sioux Tribe, and the Sioux Nations, right? Elders from Greenland, the Inuit, Uncle Ange, he likes to be called, and he's a friend here. If you want to chat to him, chat down below, no problem. The, I'll talk with him in a sec. Well, mind blowing, right? The Amara tribe, nation from Bolivia, the Navajo, the Cheyenne, the Lakota Nation. I'm learning so much about them. They have the same mythology as us. It's nuts. We're the same tribe as them, basically, right? The Salto tribe from Canada, the First Nations of Canada. I'm going to teach you about Becky Big Canoe and her the kinship way, because we're all in kin. We're all helping each other, right? She's got an advanced mind for all of this too, right? Um, the spiritual wisdom keepers from Guatemala. Amazing people, right? But just to talk about Uncle Ange at the start, right? So it started off with a fire ceremony on the 10th of July in Middleton, right? A fire ceremony to open. And that was the first time we met people properly, right? And I'm standing around, and you'd Phil Lane, Chief Phil Lane there as well. There was amazing people there, right? But anyway, Uncle Ange is what he likes to be known as. This is part of the eighth fire ceremony, it was called, right? Again, you'd all the indigenous leaders, the elders, chiefs, peace builders from across the world came together under a shared mandate for unity and reconciliation in Ireland. Yeah, and it started with Uncle Ange. What he done was he pulled out in his hand a bag of ashes, right? And these ashes were from the fire of Bridget of Kildare. Um, so some people call Bridget Breed of the Oak, or Saint Bridget. So there was the old ashes from the flame of Bridget of Kildare. The Inuit in Greenland um, kept these ashes sacred and passed down through generations of their own tribes, kept sacred, to one day be brought back to Ireland to reignite the flame of Bridget of Kildare. Right? That's very important to me. When I was watching this, my mind was nearly getting a bit of a psychedelic reaction. I was like, whoa, all right, yes, game on. Um, Thank you to all the Inuit people, right? Wow. Like, so that's what you're feeling now across Ireland is because of all this. And there's a lot of amazing other things happening across Ireland that I'll get to. This is a big conversation, right? And again, this is part of why I'm starting the training thing from a tribal perspective, because when it's only a matter of time that everyone comes back to the tribal essence. And when you're there, I have the training platforms already for you to function as a tribe for the benefit of your tribe and people, right? So a spiritual in 2003, a spiritual mandate was entrusted to the Irish people by the Council of Condor, Eagle, Quetzal, and Hummingbird, right? For Ireland to rise as bridge builders between the global South, the Americas, and Europe, right? So we have the bridge builders in Ireland today at the moment, right? Amazing people, and we're unifying the whole indigenous nations of the world, right? And Ireland is a very important place, and Ireland is reclaiming its place in in the tribal council of the world, right? Which is absolutely spectacular. So again, when we unify as people, right, that you're going back to tribalness. That's what we are. We're a tribe. So your left have different views than other people. That's fine. We're part of the same, the same tribe, and that's how we function. And when you look at it, like when we think of the protests for a moment, right, the recent protests, when everyone function as a unit, as a tribe, look how powerful we are. Look how beautiful it is to see even, and that's our superpower. We're a tribal people, right? So it's only a matter of time that everyone comes back to the tribal essence of Ireland, right? So we need our chiefs back, we need our elders back, and I'm going to talk with them for a second, right? But there's one point I want to get to first, right? This is a very important part, right? So as the everything that was happening in Dripsy Castle, right, in Cork, and you had all these tribes coming, this is very important to me, right? But also I came from a weird background, and I was like, what how it was organized was spectacular, and the organizers of this um, uh, absolutely amazing people, right? But as all the tribes came to Gypsy Castle, and as I knew at some point how important it was spiritually, that powerful. But also, when you have something that powerful, it's only a matter of time before you have, let's say, the World Economic Forum trying to get involved. You have agent whatever, And so I was looking out for these people as well. I was hypersensitive too, because I was like, these are important people coming to my land, and I want to protect them. I want to watch their back, so to speak. And no doubt, if I went to a reservation in America, they would look after me the very same. So I was looking for these people, and I spotted them. And it's important to see this too on camera, right? Because you know what's going on. We're not stupid. We're not stupid. This is vitally important. We're talking about the spiritual rebuilding of the tribal essence of Ireland and its people, and the rebuilding of our own social structures, right? Which we need in case anything happens in this country. We need to develop and build it, and we are, right? Um, so yeah, I quickly spotted who I'd be hypersensitive to this. So let's explain that in a sec. I quickly spotted who the World Economic Forum people are, and I don't trust them at all, and nobody should. But you have to spot it at the start, because when you plant something, you need to de-weed it first before it flowers properly, right? So I quickly spotted who the World Economic Forum people are, and they quickly spotted me too. So they obviously done their homework too, and that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. And I've a hypersensitivity to this thing. Many people know me. If you know me from a long time ago, you'll know that I had problems with intelligence services for a while, right? And this happened this was mad, and it was on the radio. People know about whatever. But I was walking down the street of Cork one day, and I was stopped by a guy who identified himself as a Republican, and he told me, "Jar, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to be very fucking careful. You're being followed by intelligence services right now." And I was like, "What? Are you for real? So you're telling me now that James Bond's following me?" He was like, "That's exactly what I'm telling you, Joe. I don't know what you're doing. I'm here as a friend." Well, then people believe that they follow us around Cork, but in truth, we're following them, and they're following you, right? So we're, as a friend, we're just telling you, you know. And I'm very grateful that they did too as well, right? So I walked, and he said, "Turn round, look," and I spotted your man. And we walked on another small bit, and I turned around again, and he was after moving to a different window, and it was only then my brain started going, "Oh wow, I'm actually being followed now, right? And what happened, that does an amazing thing to your brain, right? As you become hyper aware to this, right? And over time that develops. And I'm very grateful now looking back that of that hypersensitivity that grew in me, and I could spot things a mile off. And that's what that helped me inside at the World Economic Forum to spot all this, right? And just an important part as well. Even at that time, the guards were really good to me. Um, one guard stopped me in Cork, and he told me, "Don't worry, Ger, it's all good. We'll look after you. We have your back, whatever." He even grabbed me by the shoulders. "It's okay, Ger. Everything's okay." And I got energy healing off a member of the Cork Gardaí in Cork, right? And then a day or two later, or something like that, I got a phone call when I was lying in bed from a radio station in Cork. "Is this Jared Banks?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah." They said, "Oh, this is the radio station, whatever. We've just got clearance to put you on the radio, right? We hear you're being followed around Cork by foreign intelligence services. So do you want to speak about it?" And I was like, "Yeah, no problem. Of course I will." So I spoke about it, whatever. And it was surreal. Like, it was weird, as in, like, how do I put it? It doesn't seem real, right? And even afterwards, I was like, did that actually happen? But then my mom rang me. "Sure, was that you on the radio? You came across well, whatever." I'm like, this is insane. What a weird conversation to have with your mom. But anyway, for the what I'm going to speak about the world with the World Economic Forum, this is important. So I quickly assessed and scanned rooms, and I was just watching who's watching who and all of that, right? And so I spotted them, but they spotted me. And one guy got chatting to me, and he said, "I'd like to get in contact with you." And I was like, "All right, yeah, whatever." But I let him. I purposely let him, right? So then I got an email, "Will you have a chat with me sometime?" And I said, "All right, yeah, no problem." So then I got a phone call one day. I came up on the phone, Geneva. That was the World Economic Forum ringing me, right? Um, so they thought that they were trying to recruit me. But in my head, I was like, nah, I'm figuring out everything from you. Keep talking, and I'm going to find out exactly what you're doing, exactly what you're trying to do. So then talking to him anyway, and he was like, "Oh, Ger, we'd love to make you Chief of Ireland." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah. And how are you going to do that? And who's going to help you?" And all this kind of stuff, right? And yeah, so they were going to do nonsense, absolute nonsense, right? And they were offering me to give me part of Loch Ney to look after or something like that, some nonsense, really trying to play into my ego, right? And I was like, yeah, but who else? Who are you involved? I was finding out absolutely everything, right? And the important part, if anyone gets into this scenario for on, allow them to think that they're manipulating you so you can find out everything from them, see exactly where they're trying to bring you, right? Um, so what happened then I started realizing that there's groups that they're trying to unfold in Ireland. One is called Land Law, right? And Land Law and a thing called Up Games, right? That's the World Economic Forum. If you hear of a thing called Land Law or Up Games, that's them trying to manipulate Brehon Law and try to prevent Brehon Law from unfolding across Ireland. And I'm telling people this to be open and honest about it, right? So I'm having absolutely nothing to do with them, right? Zero, right? So for me, Brehon Law is very important. Tanistry is very important too. So, like, we elect our elders, and it's our elders elect chiefs. So it's a very fair way of doing it, right? And this is what we have to bring back. It's absolutely vitally important. On that phone call too, it was funny. It got to a point where he realized he was after giving up all information, and he realized during the phone call that, haha, I caught you, and that was it. We just kept silent, and they went away. They kind of, but why I'm saying this as well is Ireland. It's only a matter of time before we go back to our full tribal essence, and they know that too. The World Economic Forum know that too, and they're trying to manipulate and get in there. So we know, and straight away upon us knowing who this is, we started sharing information to everyone, so everyone would know exactly who these people are, exactly what Up Games is, and exactly what Land Law is, right? And we started to know as well that they were going over to the Black Hills in South Dakota, which is a very sacred place to the tribal nations, right? So we got on and let them all know exactly who the World Economic Forum were. And the World Economic Forum are the colonizers. They're the families of the people who destroyed the nations over in America, right? So we have a big problem with the World Economic Forum, right? Uh, Absolutely. Um, but very funny. So we're sharing information amongst us, right? Help because we work together as well, right? We're not stupid. And so it turns out anyway that they were like, all right, they're coming over, cool, but let's do it this way. So think of it this way, right? You had um, someone whose family of colonizers and stuff like that, right? But no, that person who's part of that bloodline had to go onto a reservation to sacred lands, right? So they'd done a ceremony, and I believe he probably had the most biggest awakening of his life as he realized what his family's after doing to the world. You know, it's true. Um, anyway, so like it's just important to say that. So with the World Economic Forum, they're pushing up games and land law. So just keep an eye out everywhere for that, right? That's who they are. They're not us, right? Anyway, Brehon Law, very important. So what we have to do is when we're let's say bringing back a system, right? So we need, ideally, it's a two-hash structure is what we're looking for, right? And within the two-hash structure, if we have, ideally, it'd be great to have an odd number of two-hash, right? So let's say 13 of them, two hash structures, right? And each one of these two has would have a council of elders, right? And these elders then would be the ones who elect the chief, right? And how I'm trying to think of words to explain it properly because I don't want people to get confused, right? So think of it this way, right? Think of it this way. At the moment, if we don't bring back a council of elders, it's been used against you anyway, right? So think of my partners from the UK. And the UK at the moment, you have, let's say, the local imam, right? And the local imam would go to a councillor and a politician and say they want to get this, that, the other done, and I have 100,000 votes behind me. And Mary down the road, who needs to get stuff done, she has no votes behind her, and that's why she gets nothing done. And that's why in Ireland at the moment, Irish people don't get anything done because we go as one person. We need to go back and work as a unit in order for things to be done. So if we bring back a council of elders, let's say different parts of Munster, let's say Waterford, um, Cork, and let's say Limerick, we got councils of elders in each of those places, right? So the whole people get behind them. Now, those councils of elders, think of the numbers and the protests, right? We could easily have 100,000 people behind all of them, right? So now, when they go and they're able to get things done for us as people, right? And if we don't do this, we're fucked as people anyway, right? And I'm going to go into this fully on deeper, right? But there's important things to explain as well first. Um, so we need the Council of Elders back. It's vitally important, right? And there's amazing people. Think of it this way, right? So like there's amazing people like let's say Mary or John, whoever works down the local community centre, and they'll be dedicating their life to helping people all the time. You've elderly people with time who are just amazing people, right? These are the people I would see who would make the best, let's say, elders, because I'm at work, I don't have time. But I want to be able to watch YouTube and listen to my elder and get like people that we love, we trust, these people that we love, right? And people who are capable of doing things, right? So they have time as well, and we can get behind them in so many different ways, right? I'm going to get into that in a sec. And but the only thing is, in order to become an elder or anything like that, you cannot be part of the political structure, right? So you cannot be an elder if you're part of any political party or anything like that. This is a people's movement, and it has to be. That's vitally important, right? Um, so with a two-hash structure, again, I'm going to get into it properly in a bit, right? But within the two-hash structure, I just show you this, right? This is where it's raining, whatever. So let's say you had something like that, right? So principles are very important, right? Principles are what we agree upon. And if you have structure like this, if so many different people, so many different structures the same, it doesn't matter what your principles are, you can join that group, but you can still function the same if you know what I mean, right? So once everyone has, and this can be evolved as well, right? Let's say this is a two-head that I'm part of, right? So the two-head that I'm part of in Cork, you go to whatever part that you're good at, right? So your natural health and wellness, if that's you, music culture, law rights, enterprise and infrastructure, food growing, protection of nature and resources, community finance and businesses. This is the important one, right? The knowledge exchange, the bank of ideas, right? So this is where information would come in, and these people then allocate that to the other groups, right? Which group will be able to grow it, and this is a way then of growing the system, right? Um, Obviously, there's many different ways of running this, right? But if everyone has the same system, it doesn't matter your principles. We can all function together, right? You can. People have been talking to me about the importance of you. Like you can there's for and against running it through blockchain technology, right? So there's people that's going to alarm bells are going to come off for some people when I say that, but for other people it won't. That's what different groups can have it, right? But that would be the quickest way to, let's say, run voting systems where we can have an instant vote tonight on something. You can run through referendums, different things, the other, right? Also, when ideas come in, like blockchain would be, it's not money, it's information, it's data, and secure way of transferring data, right? So you can information proper, secure, whatever, right? But again, I get that there's a lot of people will be against that, right? That's fine. But like, so I do have friends who program cryptocurrencies and stuff like that. They're really good at that stuff. But again, it's not for everyone. That's fine. I'm not really a technology man myself. I prefer a Nokia 3210, right? An old phone that has no proper fucking internet. That's me, right? But again, within these two hash structures, and again, we'll get into it properly in a bit. So first, you need the two hash structures and how we can function properly. And within the two hash structures, again, once everyone has the same structure, we can all function together, right? And back in Ireland, through chieftain times, different chieftainships had different laws, cultures, everything. But through Brehon Law, they were able to function properly, right? And Brehon Law will be a system of restorative justice, right? And balance and all of that. So we can function together properly using Brehon Law. Now, once we get, and once you have the system there, it puts people in a position where we get excited about learning it all, right? But we're not going to get excited about learning it off. There's nothing to learn it off for, if you know what I mean. So bringing it back that way is the way to fucking go, right? Um, yeah. So again, you get your elders in, and then the elders would communicate with each other through Brehon Law, right? Right? And then the elders, then, if the timing is right, we can get chiefs back. But you really want elders as well, a lot of the time, who have different ideas and opinions. So it's not like, so you want them to, let's say if there's an important person, you want them to go through all the stages of argument that that's the right person to go for, right? Personally, I won't be going for chief. You know, I won't be going for elder or anything like that. I see myself in a different position, like training people, whatever. Maybe years to come or something, but definitely not now. Not a chance, right? Um, yeah, but again, this is a massive topic. There's going to be a lot of communication. We're just getting the process started and showing you that we are already in communication with all the tribal nations of the world. They're waiting for us to get our chiefs and elders back. So within the tribal nation of the world, Irish spiritual sovereignty has been recognized. It's fully recognized, right? So you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, so again, I'm just tapping on a few things, right? Tanistry, the system of electing chiefs and elders, is the oldest election system in Europe, right? And it looks like Brehon Law is probably the oldest legal system, right? And we have our own. We don't need to wait for the government. We bring it back ourselves, right? We bring it back ourselves. And once we need to be using it first before it can become fully systematic. We bring it back. But I'm just starting the conversation because a lot of people are tagging me, right? And again, I know should I have talked about the fucking world economic? Yeah, 100%. It's important. It's important to me. And it's important people know about, let's say, up games and land law. Just keep an eye out, right? That's not your friend, right? Um, so I leave it at that for now, right? But within the, let's say, the two hash structure as well, right? Once you structure it properly and once everyone uses the same system, there's no problem. The micro becomes the macro. So anything that's put onto the system can be used by anybody. So people with ideas, everything, and we can all work together, right? Let's say, for example, with the protest too as well. Let's say you had your man Christopher that we were all watching, right? Krista, we were all watching, right? No, like there was such big numbers, right? Let's say if we had the elder system, or says council of elders, Chris could just talk to the elders and now we'd have votes from everyone. Do you know what I mean? And you like, people are talking about, let's say, restore 48 in the constitution, unless the current Irish constitution, unless we have section 48, it's not a constitution anyway. But in order for us to bring it back, we need the numbers, we need the council of elders and get all those numbers so we can all communicate properly together as a structured system. That's what's vitally important, right? So I hope people have loads of fucking questions here, right? Especially about the two hash structure and about the chieftainships and all of that kind of stuff. And ideally, then you would have, let's say, a chief of Munster, a chief of Connacht, a chief of Leinster, and a chief of Ulster, right? The way it always was, right? Right? And these councils then will communicate with the councils around the world, right? And that's it for now, right? This is a big video, I get it, but I had to start, and we're in a really good place, right? But it's important to keep an eye out for the weeds along the way too, right? Thank you very much.